is a shape, but find that, and every conversation explores the art of thinking beyond the obvious. And today I have my special guest. One of his advocacy, Ride for Rights, a bike protest across America, none other than Mr. Teddy Bloom.
Hi, thanks for having me on.
Welcome, Mr. Teddy. And can you please introduce more about yourself that I miss?
My name's Teddy Bloom, and I rode my bike from San Francisco to DC to promote four rights to preserve American democracy: free speech, justice, education, and unity. I got the idea about early March. I wanted to do some kind of protest for the current political climate, and I wanted to do something a little different, and something that stood out. And I figured, well, maybe I could do a walk or do something like that. And then I figured, well, that would take forever if I went from place to place. And I thought, well, you know what? Maybe I could bike. Maybe I could bike across the country. And once I got that in my head, I couldn't stop thinking about it. I started routing every day, like, oh, maybe I start here, maybe I start here. I started on the Golden Gate Bridge because I thought that was pretty iconic. And then slowly I kind of just routed the way across the trip. And then by April 20th, I was out the door. So real quick turnaround. What the sport I was doing is called bike packing. So basically, what you have is you have a gravel bike, which is kind of like a hybrid between a road bike and a mountain bike, and you put all your stuff, and there's gear that attaches all over the bike. So I had the regular gravel bike on the back. I had a rack with two panniers, which attach to the rack. Those are two big bags, a tent on top of the rack, a frame bag in the middle, and then a handlebar bag uh, on the front rack. I would carry all my stuff, had a bunch of camping gear, had a bunch of recording equipment. I decided to film the whole thing and put it on YouTube. And it was a crazy experience. Just wild stuff happened from start to finish. I had no experience in bike packing. I had no experience in video editing. Nothing of that nature. So it was a real challenge, and it was definitely a learn by doing. In addition, I was trying to promote the ride. So at each major city, I would have like a short ride where people could join me if they wanted to. So the major cities were, San Francisco, Sacramento, Carson City, Salt Lake City, Denver, Topeka, St. Louis, Kansas City, Chicago, Cleveland, Pittsburgh, and DC. Some people joined me, and that was great. And we did a little short ride that was very easy through those towns. And otherwise, I was going through mountains, plains, cornfields, fixing fixing out everything, all the stuff that broke, which was pretty much everything. Not a lot of stuff is built for a cross country ride, and it was certainly an interesting time. There was good and bad days all throughout.
Mr. Teddy Bloom, thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world and hoping for more and more advocacy to come will empower people all over the world. So today let's talk about the cyclist rides, cross country, the civil rights. So tell us, what is the specific moment or story that transformed this from a great idea into an imperative, a journey you had to undertake?
Well, I think the idea, the concept behind it is I wanted to share the message. So the message was that you need these ride for rights is it's ride with the number four, and it's four ideals that you need to have a functioning democracy. So you have free speech, which is obvious. You need to be able to express your opinions to the government so they know the needs of the people. Justice, so it can protect your free speech. Education, so you know what you're talking about and know what you need to improve your life or improve the lives of others, or how things the government does affects you appropriately. And then unity, which is more of a feeling, but it's an idea as a group that when you're promoting something or doing something or trying to change policy, it's the idea that it either needs to be for the benefit of yourself or the benefit of others. None of this trying to screw over everybody else. There has to be a common goal that we're trying to get better as a society. So to kind of implement that, I thought the idea of going across America would get me a good vibe of what was going on in the country. Because certainly I'm from northern New Mexico, which is a very deep blue area of the country. So I wasn't sure what other more deep red or moderate areas were kind of thinking or going through their opinions on the current situation. So I think that really helped with the unity as far as me going across the country. And then implementing that logistically was crazy. I'd never been, like I said, I'd never been bike packing. I never did video editing. I was doing media too, so I was calling newspapers and stuff like that to try to get publicity for the ride. That was brand new to me too. My current profession, I'm a civil engineer, so it has not a ton to do with what I was trying to do. So it was a lot of implementing it. Was I had ideas, and it was a lot of learn by doing. So like the biggest thing for the bike packing, I started in San Francisco, stayed with some friends for the first week in Sacramento, and I would end up taking the train to the start and finish lines of each day. So that was about 6 days, and then I left my friends and was full on bike packing with gear and was going through the Sierra Nevadas and realized I was riding with way too much stuff. It was way too heavy to get over the mountains. I ended up pulling my hamstring, which I had to kind of nurse throughout the rest of the trip. I got stuck in a snowstorm the first day, so I couldn't get over to Lake Tahoe as quick as I wanted to. So I had to take a day off for the snow. And then when I did go over to Lake Tahoe, the road I wanted to take down was completely snowed in by 2 feet of snow. So I had to take Route 50, which is like not safe for bikes at all to get down there. So there's a lot of just ad-libbing on the route. There's a lot of crazy things that happened. There was a lot of times where I was not in the safest situations either, but I made it, and that's what counts. But it was it was it was an insane experience as far as just trying to figure out the day-to-day stuff. Routing was really hard. I would have to reroute a lot. Um, I found out Google Maps, and I was using the Garmin, and a lot of the areas of the country are just so barren. They don't really have good routes for you to get to. So I had to really double check the routes and make sure I wasn't going through like active mining operations, which they wanted to send you through. I had to get on the highway a few times. There was one point I was going up to a town called Battle Mountain in Nevada, and there was Google Maps said, take this road to the left. Garmin said take a road to the right. Neither road existed, but there was one road kind of in the middle. I was like, do I take this or do I not? And I didn't want to risk it, so I ended up just kind of rock scrambling for like 2 miles to get near the highway. Um, the hardest day I had by far was in Kansas. I was going to Oakley, Kansas. It got up to 104 degrees, and I had a 25 mile an hour headwind and 50 mile an hour gusts. And I got pretty bad heat exhaustion. Um, and that was a crazy day because that was not supposed to be a hard day. When you route, you think like, oh, the mountains are going to be hard. There's lots of hard geography here. There's some areas where it's going to be steep downhill, a little steep uphill, or this day's going to be long. That day, wasn't really pegged as a hard day. It was pretty flat, but just the weather had different ideas. So a lot of it's just expecting, anything that can happen as well. So
Your bike is your vehicle, but what is the core message you're pedaling across the country? Is it about awareness, education, inspiring direct action, or something else?
it kind of became inspiring direct action, as I said. Like if if you go out and protest, you can make things happen, and that's not what I saw in a lot of the country. A lot of what I saw around the country is indifference, and the goal of the ride ended up kind of being to get people out and involved in the political policy and protect American democracy, essentially. And that's what I wanted to share, and hopefully I inspired some people to do that as well. Um, there are a lot of people interested in fixing things, but there is an issue of getting people organized and motivated to go out and do things, as I discovered on my ride.
Why choose the grueling, intimate method of bicycle journey instead of faster, more traditional way to raise awareness? What does the slowness and physical struggle of cycling add to the message?
Like I said, I wanted to do something different, and I mean, I'm not someone in the political field. I did this with my own money. I did this because I felt like it was important for the time, and I don't have a huge platform to do it, so I wanted to do something somewhat spectacular to get noticed. And to some extent, it did work. I did get a lot of notoriety, and also when I was talking about things, I would talk to people all over the country when I was there and get their opinions. And even if they didn't agree with me, I would get a level of respect just because of the effort I was putting in. and I think that really helped me out in the long run. Um, but yeah, it was supposed to be something spectacular. It was supposed to be something that showed that I was serious about it, and I think that level of effort I put in gave me some credibility as well for someone that honestly is not in the political field.
It's priceless for sure, right, Mr. Teddy? The journey and experiences on the road. Can you share a story of particular powerful or unexpected connection you made with someone you met along the way? Someone who may have started from a place of disagreement or ignorance.
Well, sure, a few. I've met tons of people on the road, and the one thing I really took away from it is everybody was very nice and respectful towards me. I think a lot of the what's put out there in the media of people, um, being mean or aggressive is very limited, and kind of rage baity. But I had a lady in Pollock Pines, California, where it was raining. I had to go to I stayed at a hotel and had to walk to Walgreens, and she actually drove me because it was raining. There was a ton of people that helped me out or asked what I was doing or would um, let me know. People I haven't seen in like 10 years would let me stay at their house, which was phenomenal. And it was great. And people would talk to me, and I would get a vibe of kind of the areas, and there was a lot of liberal or conservative or everywhere in between, and they'd be interested in what I had to say. And I don't know if I particularly changed their minds, but I would make kind of everybody think about it, and that I think is beneficial. So yeah, I mean, there wasn't one, but it was overall a really good experience meeting people across the country, and it did bring my faith in humanity back quite a bit from what you see online. And I thought that was great. So
Indeed, that's great, Mr. Teddy, for sure. The landscape of American is diverse. How have the conversation about civil rights differed from region to region as you traveled?
very interestingly, so one of the things I was curious about on the trip was how people were receiving their news. So I live in New Mexico currently. I'm originally from Ohio. So I go back to Ohio for family stuff and Christmas and stuff like that. So the Christmas before I did the ride, I went to Ohio and was just talking to people out and realized there was a huge opinion of how bad immigration was in Ohio. And it was just an odd thought for me because it was people were taking it far more serious and were far more worried about it in Ohio than they were in New Mexico, which, if you know geography, New Mexico is on the Mexican border, and Ohio shares a water border with Canada. So I was curious at the start of the trip what I was going to find, and I did find that interesting. So once you hit the Midwest, people start getting very concerned about what's happening at the border more so than the rest of the country. And given I didn't go through the South, so I'm not sure about that entirely. But there does seem to be a vibe of like people are receiving different news in different areas of the country for sure. Um, one example I have is Nevada. So I went through northern Nevada, kind of followed Highway 80 around, and it's a very remote area of the country. So people there weren't worried about immigration as much, but their concerns were more based on, as far as foreigners, based on um, terrorism and stuff, like a very post 9/11 feel. Whereas if you go to Indiana or Ohio, the biggest concern about foreigners is like Mexican immigrants over the border, which I thought was fascinating. And that kind of got consistently throughout the country. It did feel like the farther away you got from the Mexican border, the more they were worried about it. Um, so you did have quite different opinions based on different regions, and it wasn't necessarily based on your political stance either. So I was in Chicago and I was talking to people, and they were more liberal, I would say, and they were more irritated about the current administration as the tariffs. And they had kind of resigned themselves to think like they weren't happy about ICE being around, but they more thought like, well, it's that bad over there. Maybe they need that. Whereas California, New Mexico, Colorado, Utah, didn't have that vibe, despite Utah being a very red state, Colorado being a pretty blue state, and stuff like that. So it was fascinating. So yeah.
Fascinating indeed. And what has been your most profound moment of solitude on the bike? And what did the quiet time teach you about your mission and yourself?
It gave me a lot of confidence in the end. The fact that I set out to do something very difficult that I didn't know how to do, and actually finished it was very rewarding personally for me. The fact, like I said, I really had no experience. This was all learned by mistakes and learned by doing. And to spend 4 months, it took me 87 days of riding plus a few days off. I had injuries, I had broken parts, I had broken parts of the bike, broken equipment, buying new equipment, learning how to use things, and then kind of fitting that all together and making it one trip and getting to my goal was phenomenal. Like I said, it was a very difficult experience. It was probably the hardest thing I did in my life. Um, and the ability to accomplish that over time is very, very great for me. As far as what I thought of on the bike, a lot of it was scripting videos. I would do some shorts, educational shorts, and like thinking about what I was doing or how I could improve it, the ride as well. But I also just thought about life or just kind of relax my mind as well too. I didn't listen to music because I had to listen for cars basically to know that I was being safe. So yeah, I don't. You have a lot of time to yourself and a lot of time to your thoughts on the bike when you're riding, 5, 6 hours a day through, oftentimes the middle of nowhere.
Mr. Teddy, what are your short term and long term goals?
So the short-term goals is what we kind of talked about what I learned from different areas of the country. So I'm working on right now a video about what I learned politically based on different parts of the country and using a lot of examples of news articles and stuff. And I hope your audience watches that. Hopefully it'll come out in the next month. And then also doing a video about like the logistics of actually riding your bike across the country and what you need to know and what you need to do as far as that goes. So that's the short term. And then from there, I'll see honestly how the videos do. Um, I spent a message of like, you need to go out, you need to protest, you need to participate. So if the videos do well, I'll continue the Ride for Rights and maybe do a few more rides. If not, I'll volunteer with another organization and help them in any way I can. So yeah, the kind of the short and long term future is just to try to work to make America better as far as that goes, and you know see if I can use my skills I learned to help, or any skills I have in the past.
Well, good luck to your goals, Mr. Teddy, and looking forward for more success. And what would be your piece of advice for those people out there who want to be like you?
You have to be active. So no matter what country, what period of time, whoever it is, going out and protesting always works. It's not the same if you're doing it online. People can say, oh, those are bots or they can't get a number. When you actually show up and go to protests, that's what matters. So you can help organizations. Organizations need help going through email or organizing or talking to papers or something. But the important thing is that you go outside, you go to protest, you're seen. That's what needs to happen for there to be any real change in the country.
Thank you for that advice, Mr. Teddy. And what is one concrete action you most hope someone who hears your story will take?
I mean, I hope again just sorry. I hope again just participation. Like the whole goal of the ride is to understand that we need to, it's important to keep our democracy going, but it's that you need to be active in this. This is a very important time in history that'll be written about, and it's going to have an effect no matter which way it goes. It's going to have an effect for the next century, regardless. But hopefully we can make a better place for each other, and you need to get out. If you don't get out, things are going to get worse. So if you're listening to this, please try to participate. Please get out.
Yes, people get out and participate. And if you could have every American understand one thing about the fight for civil rights in this country, what would it be?
That when you're looking at people currently, the current administration wants to scare you that there's foreigners running over the border and they want to use that to take away your civil rights. You can't have a group of unmasked people like ICE running around. That has not looked good in any part of history, whether it's the Gestapo in Germany, the Stasi in East Germany, uh, many of the groups in Soviet Russia. It's it, it's a part of oppression, and it's a direction that America has never taken, and I never thought they would in my lifetime, but it's gone that way. You need to realize that everybody has a way they deserve to be treated regardless. Everybody should have a fair system of justice, and the way the country is going, it's turning away from that. So again, if you want to protect your free speech, if you want to protect democracy, again, you need to get out and protest. You need to be productive, and you need to make time out of your day and prioritize it. So
Prioritize it, people, please. And for the young person who feel passionate about justice but feels too small to make a difference, what would you say to them from the seat of your bike?
look, I'm nobody either. I'm I work I work at a desk as an engineer. I'm not a big person, and I made a decision to do this to help people, and I think it did make a really positive effect. And again, it's the important thing at the end of the day, and the end of the goal is protesting in large numbers. So don't think that you not doing anything is not going to work. In the end of the day, when large amounts of people come out and protest, usually they get their way, or at least get part of their way. So you need to be a part of a bigger group. As a large group, we are strong. As individuals, maybe not so much, but that's kind of the point. Like, don't feel like you're not important. You're important because you need to get out there, and you need to get out there with other people, and you need to encourage other people to get out there. So remember, like, if you go out and you're consistent, it will work. But
It will work for sure, people. And before we wrap up our discussion today, Mr. Teddy, I'm inviting you to please do listen to my other podcast, people. My other podcast, because my abstract essay is already in fifth season, abstract poetry in second season, and my book 101 review in fifth season too, comedy 101 second season, and my food 101 in fifth season as well, geography 101 in fourth season, and my baby podcast law 101 and mental health 101, love letters in third season, and movie 101 review and music 101 in fourth season, and science 101 and sex 101 in its first season. Please listen to them wherever you listen your podcast. So, Mr. Teddy, when you dip your tires into the final ocean, what is a primary feeling you have to have beyond the obvious exhaustion and relief?
it was kind of surprising. I didn't really know how I'd feel when I got there, and it was kind of a melancholy feel, to be honest. This had been my life for 4 months. I'd get up, I'd eat pretty dry food to keep my stomach good. I'd stretch out. I'd put all the creams and all the stuff on the body to make sure, get dressed, start going out, make sure I had all my snacks, and then ride. Um, get water, and then come back and do the same routine. So it was just like every day I was trying to keep it as the same as physically possible just to get going. And it felt great to accomplish, but it was a little bit sad. It was like kind of an era had ended. So it was interesting. I was a little torn up about it. But I guess that means it was a good experience, overall, if I'm sad to leave it. But yeah, it was very interesting. So
Good experience indeed. And Mr. Teddy Bloom, thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world.
thank
So
you.
can you so can you please invite our listeners to support your advocacy or any projects that you're doing right now?
Yeah, if you want to follow me, I have a website, Ride for Rights with the number four, and that has links to all my socials. But if you search Ride for Rights in Facebook, Blue Sky, Reddit, or Instagram, I'll show up. The logo is a bike wheel with Ride for Rights. And yeah, if you want to follow me, keep going. And remember, get out there, stay motivated, and we can make we can make America a better place. Thank you.
A better place to live for sure. So, Mr. Teddy, thank you so much for your time. Modcom people, see you soon.